All right, let's dive right into this, into the fascinating world of silent signals and what they're really telling us. We're going to explore the powerful and, often subconscious language our bodies are speaking every single day. This idea right here is our starting point, and it's a big one. It basically means that whether you're talking a mile a minute or standing in complete silence, you are always sending a message. Every little glance, every posture, it's all part of the conversation. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with just how powerful this silent conversation is, then build a sort of visual dictionary of common cues. From there, we'll talk about making great first impressions, debunk some myths about lie detection, and then wrap it all up with how to read a room the right way, responsibly.
Okay, so just how much of what we say isn't said at all? We spend so much time thinking about the perfect words to use, but honestly, they're just a tiny piece of the puzzle. The real number might actually surprise you.
Yup, 65%. According to a whole lot of research, a massive chunk of what we're actually saying has nothing to do with words. It's all on our posture, our gestures, our facial expressions. This is the channel where our true feelings tend to leak out. And that brings us to something really cool: microexpressions. A psychologist named Paul Ekman did a lot of the pioneering work here. These are these super quick, involuntary flashes of emotion that go across our faces in less than half a second. And because we can't control them, they're like these little windows into our true, unfiltered feelings. All right, time to start building our visual vocabulary. Let's look at some of the most common gestures and postures you can start spotting immediately, not just in other people, but in yourself too.
Just think about this for a second, how a simple flip of the hands can totally change the message. Palms up is open, it's inviting. It says, hey, I have nothing to hide. But then you turn those palms down, and suddenly it's a gesture of control, of authority. You see leaders do it to calm a crowd, or speakers do it to really land a point. Oh man, we've all been on the receiving end of this one, right? The limp, lifeless, dead fish handshake. It's just a classic example of how a single touch can set a really negative tone for the whole interaction. It just screams a lack of confidence.
Now, on the flip side, here is a major confidence signal. When you see someone doing this, touching their fingertips together, it's called steepling. It's a pretty good bet they feel like they are in total command of the situation. They know their stuff and they're confident about it. You know, our feet are probably the most honest part of our bodies, mainly because we pay the least attention to them. So if you're in a conversation with someone and you notice their feet are pointed towards the door, well, that can be a classic flight response. Their body is basically getting ready to leave, even if they're still smiling and nodding at you.
So let's take all this and apply it to a situation we all deal with, one that's pretty high stakes: the first impression. You really only get one shot, and it happens faster than you think.
And this isn't an exaggeration. As author Patrick King points out, that initial meeting creates a filter. Everything you do or say after that gets seen through that filter. If you make a good first impression, people give you the benefit of the doubt. A bad one? You're going to be fighting an uphill battle for a long time.
So how do you nail it? Well, Patrick King has this really simple 3-step method. First, just read their cues. Are their shoulders and feet pointed towards you? That's a green light. Next, validate them. Don't just talk about yourself, ask for their opinion. It makes them feel important. And finally, and this one is key, get genuinely curious. Ask questions that show you're interested in them as a person, not just trying to get through the small talk. That's how you build a real connection, fast.
And that brings us to the big one. The most sensational, most misunderstood topic in all of body language: lie detection. You know, the stuff you see in all the TV shows and movies. But what does the science actually say?
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can you just look at someone and know that they're lying to you? Well, the truth is way more complicated and honestly way more controversial than you'd probably think. We've all heard about these, right? The supposed giveaways. The idea that if someone touches their nose or avoids eye contact while they're talking, they've got to be lying. These are those little tells that are supposed to leak out when someone's being dishonest. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the actual science throws a wrench in the whole thing. The hard truth is, there is no single, reliable, universal sign of a lie. Not one. Some people feel zero stress when they lie, so they don't fidget or get nervous at all. What you think is a sign of lying might just be them being nervous that you won't believe them.
And this is so important to understand. The whole field is full of debate. So while body language can for sure signal discomfort or stress, it is absolutely not a foolproof lie detector.
A lot of the bold claims you see out there are heavily debated by scientists. There's just no consensus. A twitch that means a lie in one person is just a nervous habit in another.
Okay, so if there's no magic lie detector sign, how in the world are we supposed to use this knowledge without just jumping to all the wrong conclusions? Well, it all comes down to a really simple, responsible framework.
There are 3 golden rules you just have to follow. First, always consider the context. Is she crossing her arms because she's mad at you, or is the air conditioning just blasting? Second, you have to know someone's baseline. If your friend is always a fidgety person, their fidgeting doesn't mean much. But if they're normally still as a statue and suddenly can't stop tapping their foot, that's a signal. And finally, always look for clusters. Never ever trust just one gesture. One signal is just a random dot, but 3 or 4 signals all pointing in the same direction? Okay, now you've got a story.
So in the end, after we learn to observe everyone else, maybe the most powerful thing we can do is turn that lens back on ourselves. Because understanding nonverbal cues isn't just about decoding other people. It's about becoming a clearer, more intentional communicator yourself. How can you make sure your body is saying the same thing as your words? Now that's the question that can really change how you connect with everyone around you.